Hello and welcome to Minikun Tutorials. Following my last tutorial on how to replace data values including missing values in a dataset in R or RStudio, I received a lot of positive feedback, and actually one of my French-speaking subscribers commented and requested for a follow-up video on how to replace values including missing values, otherwise known as NAs, in a vector, and better still how to replace characters in a string using the replace or the square brackets function in R or RStudio. So for new subscribers and new viewers, if you haven't had the opportunity to watch my previous tutorial on how to replace values including missing data values in R or RStudio, kindly look right below in the description box of this particular video, and I'm sure you would find a link to my previous tutorial. You could also browse through my channel, simply browse through my channel and go down. It's a very recent video and it's right here. Okay, so it's in two versions, the English version and then the French version. I also entreat you to kindly subscribe, hit the like button if you really like the video, and even if you don't, kindly leave your comments. Okay, always let me know how you feel. All remarks are welcome. The purpose of what I'm doing is for us to, each one teach one, they say, right? So just always leave some comments so we can all interact and learn. And this actually encourages and motivates me to create more fascinating content like this for you. I hope it's actually fascinating. And it's actually thanks to the comments of this French-speaking subscriber to the French version on the French version of this particular video that I am actually making this particular tutorial on how to do the replacement in vectors and strings. So kindly subscribe and make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you drop some comments as you are watching. If you don't agree with anything that I'm saying, just let me know. Anyway, without much ado, let me show you how it's done. In your, we would look at, like I said, two methods. So first of all, replacement using the replace function, and secondly with the string function. But we will start first of all with replacing values or missing values in a vector, and after which we look at replacing characters in a string. Okay, now with regards to replacing values which are not just missing values, so any ordinary values, is very simple. Let's start with the replace function. First of all, supposing we have this vector here, okay, a equal to c, as c is for concatenating. This is how we write vectors. So we put concatenation sign c, and then we put the elements of the vector that we are going to concatenate, right? So if I should run this vector, let me just select it and run. R hasn't given us any error. If I should write a and enter, now we have the elements of a here, right? And if we are interested in replacing, let's say, tray by 10, how do we do that? So let's do the replacement first of all, like I said, by the use of the replace function. So supposing that we want to save the results in another vector called a1, for instance. So we say a1 is equal to, and then we use the replace function, replace into brackets. In which vector are we going to do the replacement? Is the vector a. We put comma. What is the rationale behind the replacement? So we are saying for all values so of a equal to tray, so you make sure you press equal sign twice. For all values of a equal to tray, we want to put what? 10. We want to replace all trays by 10. Then we just close the bracket. Now if I should run this, R hasn't given us any error, right? And if I should say a1 and hit enter, you realize that R has actually replaced all trays in the original vector by 10 in the new vector a1. So this is how you can actually use the replace function to replace values in what? A vector in R or RStudio. Now let's look at how you can actually do the replacement using the square brackets, right? So if you want to use the square bracket, I usually prefer using the replace function because the replace function actually allows you to save your results if you wish in a new vector, so you don't mess up with the original vector content. But with the square brackets function, let me show you how it works. So we want to do the replacement in what? Vector A. Then we open the square brackets and then we put the rationale behind the replacements. So we want to say for all values of A equal to what? 3. We close the square brackets and then we equate that to, either you put equal sign or you put less than and hyphen, is the same thing. We equate that to what? 10. So now we are saying that within the vector A, for all values of A equal to 3, kindly put what? 10. That's what we mean. If I should run this, R hasn't given us any error. If I should write A and hit enter, see that R has also done the replacement of 3 by 10 in the original vector A. Okay, let's move on. Now let's look at how we can replace missing values or NAs using, first of all, the replace function, and secondly using the square brackets function. So using the replace function is very simple, but a little bit tricky. Okay, unlike what we did earlier on, is a little bit tricky here. So we have to say, let's assume we want to save the results in a vector called b1. So we say b1, for instance, is equal to what? Then we say replace. Okay, b1 is equal to replace. Then we open brackets, and then we have to put the results of what? We have to indicate in which vector we want to do the replacement. So we put b here. We want to do the replacement in the vector b. We put comma, and then unlike what we did previously, we are not going to say, for instance, for all values of b. No, first of all, I forgot to even run the vector b. Let's run the vector b first of all. So we have to run the vector b. Okay, so this is a vector b. I've just run it. Okay, and now we want to replace, let's say, NAs, all NAs by, let's say, 5. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do using the replace function. So we cannot say b equal to 5, b equal to NA. There is a better way of doing it, but let's just assume we write as we did for vector A. Let's just assume we put b equal to NA and see whether it will work. Now we write, so this is the rationale that for b equal to NA, we should put what? 5. Now we close the bracket. Let's run this and see what will happen. Okay, now let's say b1 and enter. The changes were not applied, unfortunately. Why? I would show you why. What we were supposed to do is, in place of b equal to NA, we were supposed to use a function called is.na. Okay, so instead of writing it this way, we usually use is.na. It's just the same. That was the literal meaning that I wrote for you first of all, but in coding we write is.na instead of saying b is equal to NA. So we say is.na into brackets b is to say if for values of b equal to NA, that's still the mean, is.na into brackets b, put what? 5. Now let's run this and see. Perfect. Now if I should say b1 and hit enter, the replacement has been done. All NAs have been replaced by what? 5. Alright, and now that brings us to the last part of our tutorial which has to do with strings. And what is the difference between string and or strings and vectors? Vectors involve numeric values, whereas strings involve what? Characters. In other words, words. Let's just put it that way, or letters or whatever. So, and in R, when writing letters or words or whatever alphabet, we put it in quotations. But when we are writing numbers, you notice that we did not put them in quotations. So first of all, let's run this particular string. So let's try to be a little bit curious here. What is the essence of replacing values in vectors and all these kind of things? Since I'm just asking myself, because when we read data into R, the data set comes in the form of a data frame, and then I've already made videos on how to replace data values, be it missing or normal data values, in data frames or data sets, as I showed you earlier on. Okay, but why I actually showed you that that was my previous tutorial, and that led to this particular one. I'm just being curious. Please let me know how important could this be in the comment section, in your opinion. I think this could be very important when you are just interested in a particular row of a data set. So you may be interested in a particular row of your data set, and you may be interested in doing this replacement. So let's assume that you have a row comprising of just characters. Okay, you have categorical variables, and you are interested in just one row. You could be dealing with, a string. If you have a data set with numeric values and or numeric variables, and you are dealing with a particular row, you could be dealing with a vector, and you may just be interested in doing the replacement just for this particular row and not just the entire data set. So this could be a very good application, but please let me know other applications of what we're doing in the comment section. So let's run this particular string. So after running the string, no error given, right? And now supposing that we want to replace, let's say we want to replace let's assume we want to replace Gabriel with Kojo, okay? Or let's assume we want to replace Minunkun or Sandong by Kojo. Okay, let's just assume we want to do this kind of replacement. Or want to replace Ali by Anans. We can do a lot of replacements here. So if we want to replace Ali by Anans, how do we do that? Or if you want to replace Sandong by Kojo, well, whichever replacement that we may be interested in doing. Let's start. First of all, let's use the replace function. So as usual, we could say C1, for instance, to be our new string, to be equal to, then we use the replace function first. That's if you want to use replace, of course, into brackets. Then we put C here, which is our initial string, and then we put comma, and then we put the rationale behind the replacement. So within C, we actually want to replace what? We actually want to replace C by what? Within C, we want to replace, let's say, Sandong. So we put Sandong in quotations, as I told you. But you have to say for C, you press equal sign twice, and you put Sandong, which is what we want to replace. So we are saying for values of C, the string C equal to Sandong, for instance. Okay, you put comma, kindly put Kojo, for instance. So in quotations, you write Kojo, and then you close it. Or Kofi. These are Ghanaian names anyway. Kofi Annan, the former UN General Secretary. Okay, peace be upon him. So you see what I've just done right now. C here, C equal to Sandong. So we are saying within this string, if C is equal to Sandong, kindly put Kofi. So let's run this and see what happens. No error given. Let's C1, and then we have the values here. The replacement has been done. We now have Kofi replacing what, Sandong. Now let's look at what we can also do using the square bracket. So using the square bracket, let's assume we want to replace Ali by, let's say, we want to replace Ali by Isaac, for instance. Okay, so we want to replace the name Ali by Isaac using the square bracket. How can we do that? We simply write, let's say, C, we open the square bracket, and then we say for C equal to, let's say, Ali in quotations, you close the square bracket, use less than and hyphen, or just put equal to, and then you put into quotations what you want to replace. So you want to replace it by what? Isaac. Okay, in quotations. Now if I should run this, no error given, and if I should say C and enter, what happens? You realize that Isaac has now replaced what? Ali. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helped. Please subscribe.